You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
Hey everybody, welcome to Everyday Practices, another episode. And today we have two special guests that are partners together, Dr. Robert Gatewood and Dr. Jack Stephens. Guys, thanks for joining us today.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, so guys, why don't you tell us, and I want to make sure too, everyone knows Vicki's here too. So.
Yeah, it's really great to have you both on here. I've had such a great pleasure of getting to know you through PDA and the relationship that we have there, and I think your story is so compelling. I can't wait for you to share it with our listeners. So can you tell us just quickly, I can tell you, you're from Spring, Texas, right? It's almost like Manhattan. It's like New York City in Spring, correct?
Correct. Yeah, Spring is just a kind of a suburb area of Houston. We're still technically, I guess, part of Houston. We're just on the north side. So, Houston's so vast and broad. But yeah, Dr. Stephens and I have worked together for, 19, almost 20 years?
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, I joined him in 1999, worked as an associate for 4 or 5 years, and then bought in, and we've been partners now for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been
okay on that one piece, because I hear that partnerships don't work. They're horrible. They're terrible. It's not in fashion right now. So what is the secret sauce of a good business partnership?
Vicki, it's really, we're not quite sure what makes it work so well. I think one of the best things that happened was, we went through looking for a number of different associates early on in my practice, and my wife was helping us at that time with the front office, and we had kind of mixed responses. We were getting a little disappointed in thinking that we may never find an associate that was right. We had a few people come in and work for us, but we could tell that they were never the right fit for what the direction of the practice, or what we saw as the bigger picture, the vision of what the practice was all about. And then all of a sudden she came in one day and she said she found the right person. And he said, talked to him for about an hour and a half. This is the right person. It's going to be a perfect fit. I said, really? Well, when can he start? Well, he can't start for, I think it was 6 or 8 months. He was finishing up a residency with the Navy. And I said, okay, well, it seems like a little bit long, but, she's never been wrong before. And as it turned out, once we all met, we had an immediate ability to kind of see things the same way. Both of us, I think the directions that we wanted to see the practice and how we wanted to take care of patients were so similar. And I think that is the real secret. It has to start with a common vision. And if both partners share that vision and share the how they want to treat patients and how the practice should be move forward, then it makes things a lot easier. And I'll be honest, I have a couple strengths, but I have a lot of weaknesses. And when Rob came on board, his complementary format to my strengths or weaknesses, we tend to work very well with each other. So what do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I was trying to think of, we're similarly yoked, but with mutual appreciation of each other for what the other brings to the table. I think we're both pretty fair about doing self-analysis of what we're good and bad at. And he's right. Like what I know is not my strength is his, and vice versa. And we realize that in each other and appreciate it. But I think a big part of it too is, when Dr. Stephens brought me into the practice, even though I was the associate, he didn't treat me like an associate from the very beginning. Like from the day I joined the practice, all the books were open, the way the finances ran, to decisions about the practice. He'd look at me and say, "What do you think?" It wasn't one of those where these are my patients and you can't have those. It was more of an open, fluid concept of taking care of patients. So it made me really comfortable that I was in a good spot. And we've done that because we now have a 4-doctor practice. We've continued that where, if patients, of course, want to see one doctor, that's fine. But, there's no, this is mine, that's yours, or I'm going to do implants, you can't do implants. And we like all our doctors, equally trained, equally. So patients are comfortable seeing each other and everybody. It's what would be fair for everyone. And that's the way he brought me in, and that's the way we've continued. So I give a lot of credit to him for how he brought me into practice, because I hear of a lot of associateships where they like, okay, well, you're just going to do all the fillings.
Right.
I'll do this. Right. You're going to, and that's not really fair to everybody. Just like with new patients, I think our associates get more than new patients than we do right now. Because they need more, where we have built such a vast pool from the years of working together. But I think that's a big part of it too, is just how it starts from the beginning, that there's no animosity or how you were treated or anything like that.
Yeah. And I love the term that you used. It's an old term. It's probably a biblical term of being equally yoked. And I don't think people really understand what that means, but I see that in you guys. You have like a very similar temperament. You've got a similar cadence, and you collaborate to discover your strengths together. And that's what I've always said about partnerships. If we're the same and we do the same and we think the same, then one of us is not needed. So,
yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
That's a great way of putting it. You're right.
Yeah, and it's funny. We got to know each other and realized how similar some parts of our background were. We both kind of grew up always working, always having jobs since we were young kids, 14 on. I worked all through school, college, dental school, and we did a lot of retail. We both done construction. So, we'll change lights, change fixtures, do this, do plumbing. And so there's something about that where created a kinship of it. So,
yeah.
Working on dental equipment or whatever. So we feel comfortable with all that. And maybe that kind of helped bond us together.
Boy, it keeps your overhead low too.
Yeah. Well, we don't do as much as we used to. They try to keep us with a handpiece in our hand more now than we used to, but usually we still do a few things here and there where patients will laugh. They'll see a ladder come out and laugh at us and say, doing some other work. I'm like, oh yeah, there's always something to do.
Changing a light bulb.
That's right.
Monster in the closet. So,
That's
you
right.
guys have been together for a long time. Have you seen your patient needs and what they want and all of that shift in your area over the last 2 decades? Or did it shift because your skills shifted,
I think that has a lot to do with it, because as practitioners, we're always on a journey, and we're always trying to improve and get better at what we do. And obviously the things we did 20 years ago are quite a bit different than what we do today. I think that the quest to try to always improve, and I think that's another reason why our partnership works, is that we're never truly satisfied where we are. We're always looking for ways to try to improve either how we deal with patients, how the office runs, the business side. We're always looking for ways to try to get better, and I think that that's a great. At least for our relationship and our partnership, it's been invaluable, because we're both looking at it the exact same way. And I've seen partnerships where that wasn't always the case, where one person's vision was not always the second person's vision, and you're right that they haven't done well as partners. And so I feel like that the best thing you can do if you're considering a partnership is make sure that you're both seeing and have the same vision, same goals in mind, and want the same thing for both the practice and your patients.
And that, that's a key point. You don't have to see everything the same, but you have to have an agreement on where you're going. So what I'm hearing in your agreement and your partnership is we want to always be growing and changing and updating with the technology so that we stay current and relevant. And that's not everybody's business model, right? And some are,
right.
We're not spending money on that stuff. Get out of here, you crazy thinker.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, I think every year we've worked together, the practice has grown every year over 20 years. It's never been the same or gone less. It's always grown every year. And that's how we want it to be. We feel like there's no standing still. You're either growing, but if you're the same, then you're actually falling behind.
Yeah.
I feel like it should continually be an evolving thing for us. And, to do that, though, you're always having to face new challenges that make you uncomfortable. And you have to, sounds funny, try to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations because you're constantly growing, and that's the challenge is don't get complacent, and we're always pushing ourselves to not be complacent. What's the next thing?
So do you have a formal process? Do you meet once a month? Do you go away once a year and do a partner retreat? How do you stay connected?
Well, he and we now have 2 locations, so I mainly work the new one, but we made sure one day a week that he and I work together. So we see each other once a week, and we have a lot of meetings. And then we also do a lot of things outside the office. Like I said, we really enjoy each other's company, and usually we do 1 or 2 vacations a year together.
We've together.
We've sailed the British Virgin Islands together and spent a week doing that with our wives and kids, and it's always a lot of fun, but we always spend a lot of downtime just chatting too, and just talking about, and it's not uncommon. We'll go to the movies together. And that's all the doctors. We always try to find things for the doctors to do to keep, because you got to connect outside the office a little too. Not all the time, but at least, once a quarter or once a month, if we can, get everybody together, have dinner, visit, just talk shop, or just talk about life and family. So it keeps you connected.
Don't you think that's where a lot of the mentorship comes in, is in those casual moments?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes they just need that, especially as a young doctor, when something doesn't go right and they get flustered and you click on them and go, I've had that happen 20 times. And and you can see the relief come across their face, and, just to know they're not alone, and that's to me part of the fun of a partnership. And, coming out of the Navy, when I did my residency, I served 2 years as division officer of a clinic. We had 5 doctors in one office. And so after being in that, I was like, this is really cool having all these people to bounce ideas off of. I knew that I didn't want to be a solo practitioner. I really enjoy that camaraderie. So it was just finding the right fit, and I got lucky the first strike out. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want to make sure that we have plenty of time for you to share and chat. I'm sorry, I'm hogging all the questions here.
No, you're good.
Because you had a catastrophic event at your practice that really challenged, it would have challenged the best of anyone, right? But it was multiplied because you had multiple doctors and multiple teams and all of this kind of stuff. So will you walk us through this, and I think you know what I'm talking about, there's one particular weather situation that really brought your team close, and it really put your partnership to the test.
Yeah, we, back in, I guess, 2017, that is, of course, when Hurricane Harvey hit. We knew the hurricane was coming because we'd had issues, with, flooding around Houston, all these areas before. But in fact, we had one team member who was from Chicago, and she'd never been through a hurricane. I said, oh, it's no problem. High winds, going to lose some power. A week or two later, everything's fine. We go back to work. And I grew up right near the coast of Galveston, Texas, where I've sat through tons of hurricanes right on the coast. So we're about 100 miles inland being in Houston. But this one was totally different. It hit, went back out, reloaded, hit, went back out, reloaded, and hit again. So it ended up being, I think, 52 inches of rain. By the second day,
like how quickly was that?
That was over about a 3-day period.
Wow.
You had 52 inches. So, it was unprecedented.
A foot and a half per day. Wow.
Yeah. So we ended up, I knew by the second day, and we had moved and gone in further inland. The second day, I called Jack and I said, we're in trouble. And he said, yeah, we are. And we knew our office was flooded. We just didn't know how bad yet, because we knew we were in an area that it could have potential, and we'd come close once, but that had been years ago. So we ended up flooding out, I think it was 4.5 feet deep. So we lost everything in the office. We had to gut it to the ceiling. But fortunately for us, we have two locations. We had the main office, which was the one that got hit. It was 12 operatories, where most of our practice was formed. We had a small office, a satellite that was a little further north by 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that had 7 chairs. So the challenge there was, would our patients be okay? The patients had already been hit by this storm, but then also our fear was we didn't want to lose any staff. We had over 30 staff members, 4 doctors, and 7 chairs to work out of. But, I have to say, Dr. Stephens and I are really good about it. We just looked at each other and said, all right, I don't know how this is going to work, but it's going to work. And so we toured the office and saw how devastated it was. The girls were crying, and we kept telling them it's going to be okay. I said, nobody's losing a job. We're going to do everything we can to keep everybody going. And it was actually my wife who, when I was trying to decide how would we get everybody and keep them together, she said, well, this is easy. Just go 6 days a week and 12-hour days. And I was like, I can't ask these girls to work 12 hours a day. And she said, no, go 7 to 1 and 1 to 7, no lunches. Once that group is done, they get out of the office, the next group comes in. So everybody gets 6 hours instead of 8. And I was like, that could work. So everybody kind of took a little hit, but everybody could stay employed. And the team rallied around that. They were phenomenal. It was kind of chaotic, the amount of people in there. I mean, we had a little 2-doctor office, and I think we had 4 people working out of our private office, and we were just basically climbing all over each other. We'd have some team members working from home on satellite computers, and it took us, I think, 7 months.
6.5 months.
Almost, to rebuild. But
I just love that in Texas, your 7 operatory office is the little one.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we have 4 doctors, so
that's our little one.
Yeah, but that's what we kind of laughed. We said, well, having bigger offices is great, but also have bigger problems sometimes when you have all these staff to keep up with. But yeah, and they were phenomenal. I mean, no one complained. Everyone worked hard. Of course, we were thrilled to get back in the office and hopefully never, ever have to deal with that again. But I think it really showed the integrity of the practice. And part of it was, Dr. Stephens and I in our office, I don't think we've never had a raised voice in this office about anything. No one yells, no one gets upset. We believe in just calm, professional demeanor. Not that we don't have fun and joke and laugh a lot, but, just there's always give grace, always, give people the benefit of the doubt, patients and staff, and, be kind to each other.
That's an everyday practice tip.
Yeah. And it really works. And I think the staff feels that,
So it was a big ordeal for us. It really was. It was, everything you've ever worked for and built, and then you'd see it out in your parking lot. All our dental chairs, all our dental equipment, our computers, everything sitting in the dental parking lot was a huge blow to take in. And I think that our team, really had so many unknowns and questions in their mind, and for us we knew immediately that we had to kind of pull things together and get people kind of moving and understanding that we did have a plan and that we would be able to make it work. And so we did get everybody together, explain what our plan was, and then implemented it, quickly. And I will say it was pretty seamless. I really thought that it would be more chaotic than what it was, but everybody understood what we were facing and what we had to overcome. And, there wasn't a lot of grumbling. Everybody said, okay, I'll do my share. I'll do my part. Yeah. I'll do what it takes to make it work. And it made us better people, made us stronger as a team, being able to overcome something like that.
Well, in the beginning, you said that you grew every year for the last 20 years. So even in this year, when you took the better part of the year rebuilding, you grew in that year as well?
Yes.
It was pretty amazing.
We ended up slightly ahead. We laughed.
We were shocked.
I looked at him, I said, can you believe that? And we just started laughing. But I will say we had just started doing some of the PDA techniques right before that on, treatment planning and scheduling. And I think that helped us too, as far as kind of being more efficient and a little leaner and meaner in how we put things together. So we discussed that even with Bryn, and said how that was really helpful. And I think, we weren't fully trained, but we had enough information that it helped.
Right.
So,
That's awesome.
Guys, I want to know something. So after those 7 months and when you got things back into place and knowing that there are seasons in life, how did it feel aside from accomplished? I mean, that's obvious, like that would be quite a feeling of accomplishment the first day that you get to go back to kind of your old schedule. But how else did that feel, and how did your team feel? But how did you guys feel? How did the family feel once you could relax again? I hope that's was the case to some extent, that you felt more comfortable about saying, you know what, here's going to be my ideal work schedule again, because we don't have to make these 7 ops work. And you get what I'm saying. What were your thoughts going through your mind? And did it take a few months to kind of settle down again from that cramped schedule?
No, I think that almost immediately, things went back to what we would call, normal, and
the better
normal. Everybody everybody on the team was so relieved and excited to get back into the new renovated office, and everybody get back to what their normal schedule was with their lives and their families. So just a huge relief on everybody's part to get back. And it didn't take very long, a few weeks, and everything was running like it was before. So yes, it was a big ordeal.
And I will say, and I think the one thing they did take is just such an appreciation for what we do have and what we were blessed with, and how the staff rallied around each other. I think they had more appreciation for each other and what we went through. I think it kind of, like you said, bonded everybody together.
I bet.
The other thing I would say to any practice, and because you never know whether it's a flood or a fire or whatever else is, I know we all have insurance, and we did have flood insurance, but that only covered about maybe half of what we cost us to rebuild it. They have there what they call the emergency funds they'll give you right up front. Yeah, that's not right up front. So luckily we've always kept the practice very padded. They've kept us very padded with cash and things of that nature. But, for the first probably 2 months of starting the rebuild, that didn't come in. It was supposed to be in the first 30 days. I think it took them 90.
Yeah.
So it took them almost 3 months. So we were paying ourselves to get things rolling. Otherwise, if you're waiting on insurance, you could be sitting around for a while.
So what advice would you have for doctors to really be prepared, like you said, whether it's a flood or electrical storm or something like that, when you're losing data, losing time, losing equipment? What's the best ways to get prepared for that?
I think financially you have to be stable. You want to make sure that you have some reserves. You never want to play it too close, and also have the proper insurance in place. Nobody ever believes that they're going to have this type of an event. Never in my mind did I think that we were going to be totally wiped out and we had to start over again. You always prepare for maybe a minor issue here or there along the way, but and also the cost of when I first built the office and equipped it was quite a bit different than when we had to go back and redo it again, especially with the construction trades in Houston being in such high demand. Everything was almost double the rate.
And probably what helped us too is when we had built the satellite office, the second office, that builder who had built that for us, we had a great relationship. So even while it was still flooding on the second day, I called him myself, and as soon as I called, he picked up the phone and said, "I know why you're calling." And he said, "You'll be one of my clients. I'm only going to take 4." And I said, "Okay." I said, and that was a huge, just to get on him early.
Yeah.
I mean, because with that flood, like you said, people came in from all over, and there are still people here who aren't back in their homes. I mean, this has been a year and a half later because of poor contractors, bad contracting, firing contractors, because they come in like vultures.
Wow.
You have somebody. Yeah, it's terrible. People have had to tear apart things that were rebuilt incorrectly, and because you always think, well, that was a long time ago, but yeah, there are still people struggling to get stuff back together.
Well, it has certainly been our pleasure hosting you here today. Our time always flies by so fast. I picked up so many pearls about partnership, and you can hear it like this. Chad and I can see each other because we're on video. You guys are phoning in, and you just got this easy flow about you. So thank you for being such great role models as partners. We do have one question, and I'm going to let Chad pitch it to you. It might cause some divisiveness here. We don't know.
Yeah. I'm afraid that this could be the first time your voices raise between each other. So let's hear it out. But I have a feeling the answer, Vicky, is probably going to be the same for both of them, okay? Robert, Jack, here we go. Bacon or eggs?
Oh, bacon.
Yeah, I had to go bacon.
Yeah.
Bacon.
Bacon wins the day. Well, guys, way to bring home the bacon after chewing the fat with us today. That's awesome. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate
this
it.
has been fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, we just finished up with Drs. Gatewood and Stephens from Houston area in Texas, and everyone listening for the episodes that we've had. This is Everyday Practices. Vicki, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chad.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with Everyday Practices.